immediately when I got back to riding, I was, doing the same type of, I do English jumping, and, I was just way more relaxed overall. Even when I was challenged with the various exercises and things that we were doing. Um, the brain fog, like I didn't realize that I had brain fog.
Yeah.
And that is probably like high up on the list, that's significantly better if not gone.
It's amazing what we tolerate.
Right.
That's less than optimal. But like even general health people do that all the time. Well, I've got a little bit of a wheeze. I guess when you get older, you have that happen. And it's like, no, that's not normal. So that's cool. Like you tolerated that for a while. You knew something was wrong, but you kind of tolerated it because you got used to it. And now that the instigator of what made that happen is gone, it's noticeable, the difference.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And I haven't retested my blood work yet because I wanted to give a minimum of 6 months, because obviously the thyroid antibodies are not going to come down overnight.
Right.
So we're 7 months now. So it's something that I'm pretty much due to get done. I was going to wait 6 or more months. So we'll see how that turns out.
Do you boost your iodine or some other kind of thyroid healers, or do you do anything supplementally to kind of help with that, maybe speed it along?
So I'm a big believer in supplements. Like I always say, like food first, no matter what. And
Right.
then, supplements should always be used to support what you're doing with food. But that being said, digestive support, digestive enzymes, I've been able to reduce those a little bit. I have taken minerals and iodine. I think that's helped me. I'm not taking excessive amounts of anything.
Right.
Because I don't believe in that either. But I do, definitely believe in supplements. And I think that the things that I'm taking now can help me because I've eliminated the blocking factor.
Yes.
Or what I call blocking factor, that was really blocking me from feeling good all the, most of the time, and was causing a lot of those symptoms.
Have you experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Element comes in. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Element today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.
Look, I love hearing you say you're not doing too much, because a lot of times people will say, well, I have thyroid kind of issues starting to develop. I've heard that iodine helps, and then they go wild on the iodine, and you can actually hurt yourself having too much iodine. Iodine's good in the natural sources. Do you do like seaweed or other kinds of forms of iodine, or do you take it just supplementally?
Just in a mineral, it's a mineral combination supplement. I don't even take it on its own. It's just a multi-complex mineral supplement. Yeah.
I have one of those as well. Keto Chow makes a nice daily minerals kind of thing, and it's got all the balance in there. You don't need to do too much, you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so here you are today. Do you regret it? I know the answer, but do you regret the initial decision to get them in, or are you glad you went through this so that now you can help other women?
Both, honestly. Yeah. I mean, of course, if I could go back and do it over, knowing that I know everything that I know now, of course I would never do that. That being said, am I glad I can share my story now? I've always believed in walking my talk and practicing what I preach, and, doing the things that I do and teaching my clients to do those things. And I have the experience of going through this to be able to share my story. You know, would I wish that on anyone? No. Of course, am I going to, use that and try to share this out with as many people as in as many places as possible as that I can? Absolutely.
Do you know what I love about your story, other than your bravery in sharing it? Because a woman talking about having her breast implants and then having them removed, it's not the most glamorous thing in the world to talk about. So thank you for your bravery here today. But I think you're showing that, look, if you're having issues in your health and you've got your diet dialed in clean, and you had your diet and it's been clean since 2006. So 15 years you've been at this really being good. And you're not seeing results, you got to look at other things. I'll tell you something in my world, it wasn't breast implants, but I had mercury amalgams.
Yeah.
And root canals in my mouth, like tons of them. I chewed hard candy when I was a kid and leave it in there. I didn't know. Mama didn't say anything. So I had really bad teeth early 20s. And so had a bunch of mercury amalgams put in. I had a nice dental insurance plan at the time. Had 4 root canals, maybe like 11 or 12 mercury amalgams. It was bad. And then, of course, I started having the problems in my early 40s and just before. And so I would taste the metal. I would taste the infection that was happening with the root canals. Anyway, all that to say, I got all that cleaned up. And then my cholesterol drops for like 100 points within 6 months. Like it goes to show you that we can't just look at markers in your health. You can't just look at somebody with weight on their body without knowing the context. You can't assume, people could assume, well, what are you eating in your diet, Dani? You must be doing something wrong, and you're doing everything right. Your story shows there's other things environmentally, lifestyle-wise, that we need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, I just love that you brought that up, because my approach with myself and with clients, of course, has always been food first, fueling. Even I go by the context of fueling before fasting. I know we haven't talked about fasting, but just in context of what we're talking about, you always have to get the food right in the eating window before you can do anything else, whether it's fasting, whether it's fitness, whether it's, looking at underlying causes that are contributing to symptoms. If the food's not right, nothing else can be right. And then once you get the food right and look at that, then you can start to look at, that's the foundation for everything that we do. And then you can build on that. So that's where the hormones and the digestive issues and the other detoxification issues can come in that can contribute to the problems that might make it seem like the food is not right. But when there's other things that need to come into play that you need to look for, as far as like other blocking factors, for you was mercury. For me, it was, the breast implants, and there's a lot of them. So.
Yeah. Let's back up a bit, because you just triggered a thought. So in the midst of this, from 2012 until you ultimately had the breast removed this year, you had to be going crazy trying to figure out what to do. Supplements. Did you try periods of like longer fasting, thinking, okay, I'll just kill everything, I'll get some autophagy going on, something's going on in there? Did you do things like, and I don't want to describe it as extreme, but maybe a little more intense than you would have but for these symptoms?
Yeah. So funny enough, how I sort of found fasting was because after I got the implants and I started to have a lot of the digestive issues, I noticed that I felt better if I had a longer time between dinner the night before and breakfast the next day.
Okay.
At the time, I was not, still not heavy into social media or any groups, or like I was just still on my own with the, working with clients offline, so to speak. And so it took me a little while to really research and realize that people actually like stopped eating on purpose. Yeah. And that there was actual heat. Like, it wasn't just my imagination that having a break between dinner and breakfast the next day, like people actually did that on purpose. And there was actual like
about my
science behind it. And that was one of the first books I ever got on fasting.
Yes.
And so, yeah, extreme. Like, I thought it was extreme at the time, but I noticed like my gut started to feel better, and I had, my energy was a little bit better and that kind of thing. So with that being said, at that same time where the fasting came into play, that's, I had been very meat-based, ketovore, you know, if you want to call it, that's like a word now. I mean, years ago, what was ketovore, right? But I also, that's kind of the time where I really got into meat only and carnivore as well.
Yeah.
A lot of broth fasting,
Yes.
meat only, no vegetables, things like that. And so, yeah, like at the time I thought they were extreme. Obviously now I don't think they're as extreme, but yes, to answer your question, I had to do a lot of that and figure a lot of that on my own because I was like desperate to find ways to feel better.
Yeah, it's mainstream now. I see Steak and Butter Gal just got here. Hey, Bella.
Hey, Bella.
He's one of the ones that kind of champions the meat-based diet, and yeah, not extreme at all. But yes, once and again it was. But you were trying all these things and to no avail. And a lot of people would look at that and say, well, see, that didn't work. See, the carnivore diet didn't work, the fasting didn't work because you didn't see all your symptoms gone. No, it worked.
Right.
It just did not provide the relief from this ongoing toxin that's in your breast area.
Right, exactly. And I might have mentioned earlier, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but also, you know, around the 2015 mark, that's where I got into the acupuncture because I had done the diet stuff and the, you know, the functional stuff, and that I still had the symptoms. So I'm like, well, let me try acupuncture because, you know, that's not my wheelhouse, but maybe, you know, the Chinese medicine would be a better route for me. I mean, I didn't know. So thousands of dollars on that. Felt a little bit better, had a little bit of improvement. I mean, I have amazing acupuncturist. She helped me tons. But again, it wasn't, you know, there was still the underlying factor.
Your story is one of perseverance, because I think a lot of people will try things, Dani, and then, okay, nothing's working. I'm sure you hear that from clients a lot. I tried everything, nothing's working. And then, no, there's an infinite number of things that it could be. And sometimes it's the most obvious things, your breast implant. And sometimes not so obvious, right? And so your story is quite inspiring for those people who feel like they've gotten stuck on a journey. If it's weight, if it's health, if it's anything, you know, and thank God you did have all, or as you said earlier, thank fucking God that you found that it was this, because there are people, and you didn't really have heavy symptoms like the friend of yours that had the bags under the eyes, jaundice in the eyes and all that going on. That was obvious. Okay, something bad's happening. But for you, it was just symptomatically. It really didn't manifest as anything. I think it would have,